Hello, orchid lovers around the world. Today, I want to share with you an orchid I recently received from another grower. They told me they needed help caring for it, as their usual methods just weren't working. Judging from the plant, it seems they may have used either the wrong method altogether, or perhaps the right method, but not applied correctly. The orchid itself is in moderately fair condition, but it's clearly showing signs of stress and dehydration. The two primary leaves are a healthy dark green color. This tells us the plant is still getting enough light and is capable of photosynthesis. However, despite this positive sign, the orchid is struggling with a failing root system. It's currently sitting in dry, compacted, and degraded sphagnum moss. This type of medium can hold on to moisture poorly when it breaks down, making watering ineffective. Looking closer, the visible roots around the perimeter are thin, shriveled, and grayish-brown. That means they're either dead or severely dehydrated and unable to absorb the water the plant needs. We will first need to remove the plant from its old pot. Only then can we really see the core issue responsible for its decline. The central axis, or stem, this part is crucial because it connects the foliage to the roots. But here, it's visibly brown, shriveled, and decayed. The papery outer sheath is peeling away due to rot, and that decay has essentially severed the plant's vascular system. Without that connection, no water or nutrients can reach the upper leaves, and that explains why, in earlier photos, the leaves looked limp and dehydrated even though they were still green. Using a scissor or shear, we will now begin the process of cutting away most of the roots and the damaged body of the plant. What we want to keep are only the crown, the healthy leaves, and a small section of stem that is still capable of carrying nutrients. This might look a little harsh at first, but it's important to remember that keeping dead or rotten tissue will only invite further decay. By removing these unhealthy parts, we're giving the orchid a clean slate and a chance to focus its energy on recovery. What remains, though smaller, will still contain the plant's life force. Now we will give the plant a wash using a gentle water spray. This step is simple, but very important. By rinsing the plant, we're removing any lingering pieces of old sphagnum moss, dust, and decayed tissue that might cling to the crown or stem. Think of it as cleaning a wound before bandaging it. Without this step, any treatment we apply later could be less effective. When spraying, make sure the water pressure is soft, just enough to rinse, not enough to damage the tender tissue. Avoid using hot or cold water. Room temperature water is best, since sudden temperature shocks can further stress the plant. As we do this, notice how the leaves and crown look fresher, almost as if the orchid is sighing in relief. Next, prepare a clean container and fill it with fresh water. Now we'll add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. This will create a mild, alkaline solution that helps neutralize bacteria and fungi that might still be clinging to the plant. Stir it gently until the powder is fully dissolved. We want the mixture to be even, without clumps. After that, carefully place the orchid inside, making sure the entire plant is fully submerged in the solution. This soak is like a gentle bath. It disinfects the stem and crown while also hydrating the tissues after all the trimming we've done. We will let it sit for about 20 minutes, long enough for the solution to do its work, but not so long that it overwhelms the plant. During this time, the orchid is essentially being refreshed from the inside out. While we wait for the plant, we're going to prepare the next ingredient. And for this, we'll be using 1 fresh apple. Start by cutting it into small pieces. This makes it easier for the blender to break it down evenly. Don't worry about peeling it. The skin also contains useful nutrients that the plant can benefit from. Once the apple is chopped, place all the pieces into a blender. Now fill the blender with fresh water, just enough to cover the fruit. Blend the mixture for about 1 to 2 minutes until the apple is completely liquefied. What we're creating here is a natural solution, rich in sugars, vitamins, and minerals that will act as a gentle tonic for the orchid. Once that's done, we'll take a strainer and carefully filter out any pieces or fibers that couldn't be broken down. This step gives us a clean, smooth liquid, perfect for the plant to absorb without leaving behind any waste. Now, into this filtered apple solution, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of natural honey. Honey is not only a natural antibacterial, it also provides trace nutrients and sugars that encourage gentle recovery. To balance the mixture, we'll top it up with a little more fresh water. This prevents the solution from being too concentrated. Finally, give it a gentle stir, and now we have a nourishing, homemade tonic. After 20 minutes, take the plant out of its baking soda solution. At this point, the orchid is cleansed and refreshed, ready for the next stage. Now we're going to repeat a similar process, but this time with the apple and honey solution we just prepared. Pour the mixture into a clean container. Make sure the container is large enough for the entire plant to fit comfortably. Gently place the orchid inside, ensuring that it is fully submerged. This soak will allow the plant to absorb the natural sugars, vitamins, and protective properties of the solution. Think of it like feeding the orchid a natural energy drink. We will let it sit for about 15 minutes. During this time, the tissues begin to rehydrate, while the honey coats and protects delicate areas against infection. After 15 minutes, carefully take the orchid out of the solution. Set it aside gently, allowing any excess liquid to drip away. Now we'll use the same solution for one more important step. Take a clean piece of tissue and dip it into the apple honey mixture. Make sure the tissue is fully soaked. With this, begin to wipe across the orchid's leaves, both on the top surface and underneath. This not only cleans away any lingering dust or residue, it also allows the leaves to absorb a thin layer of nutrients and natural protection from the solution. Think of it as giving the orchid a refreshing polish. Next, we will use cinnamon powder to cover up the trimmed areas. Cinnamon is a natural antifungal and antibacterial. It helps seal off fresh cuts and prevent infection from setting in. Take a small, clean paintbrush, dip it lightly into the cinnamon, and carefully brush it onto the plant. Focus only on the trimmed parts of the roots or stem. Think of it as a protective bandage for the orchid. Now we're going to make a temporary place for the orchid to grow. This is an important step because after all the cleaning and trimming, the plant needs time to rest and regain strength in a safe, controlled environment. First, take a simple plastic cup, something lightweight and easy to cut. Using a clean pair of scissors, carefully cut off the bottom of the cup. This open end will act as the base where the orchid can rest and hold on to. After cutting, make a few small holes around the lower sides of the cup. These holes are very important. They let extra moisture pass through, and more importantly, they allow air to circulate around the roots. Remember, orchids love airflow, and this prevents rot from forming. Next, place this prepared cup inside a larger container. Pour in just a little bit of water at the bottom of the container. Not too much, just enough to create a light layer of humidity. The orchid should never sit directly in water, only enjoy the moist environment around it. Now comes the careful part. Take your orchid and gently position it inside the plastic cup. The cup will hold it upright. Think of it like a gentle support frame that gives the orchid balance while the roots begin to recover. Make sure it's steady, but not forced into place. We want it comfortable, almost like it's being cradled. Once the orchid is positioned, we'll add one more layer of protection. Take another pot with drainage holes and use it to cover the top of the container. This acts like a temporary lid, It keeps the environment inside humid and stable, while the drainage holes on the pot still allow fresh air to flow through. Finally, to keep everything from tipping or falling, we'll clamp the cup, pot, and container together. You don't need anything fancy. Even a few clips or ties will work. The goal is to make sure the setup stays firm and safe, so the orchid can rest without disturbance. After 2 weeks, you'll start to notice something very exciting. If you take a close look at the base of the orchid, tiny green tips will begin to appear. These are new roots forming, fresh, plump, and full of life. At first, they may look like little nubs, small and delicate, but over the days they will slowly stretch and grow longer, reaching toward the air and the moisture inside the container. This is a clear sign that the orchid is responding to the care we've given it. It's saying, yes, I'm alive, I'm ready to grow again. The roots are the foundation of the plant's health. Once they appear, you can be confident that recovery is underway. Now it's time to prepare a new home for our orchid. And for this, we're going to make an eco-friendly pot using a simple plastic bottle. First, take a clean bottle and draw a line to separate the top from the bottom. This line is your guide. We'll be cutting along it carefully. We're going to use the top portion of the bottle as the main pot where the orchid will sit. The bottom part will act as a natural filter. It will catch excess water while still allowing drainage, keeping the roots safe from sitting in water. Cut along the line slowly and carefully. Make sure the edges are smooth. You don't want any sharp plastic that could damage the roots or stem. Once cut, you'll have 2 pieces ready. The top is the holding pot and the bottom as the drainage container. This setup is simple, effective, and eco-friendly, giving your orchid a safe, custom pot while recycling materials you already have at home. Now we will prepare a metal base at the top of the bottle. This base will support the orchid and keep it stable inside the eco-pot. Make sure the bottle cap has a few holes in it. These holes are crucial because they allow the metal base to sit securely while also letting water pass through to the bottom filter. Once the metal base is in place, we can start filling the top portion with pine bark. Add it slowly, gently tapping or shaking the bottle as you go so the bark settles between the roots later. This ensures proper aeration while still providing enough support for the orchid. Now, the top is ready, and we're about to position the orchid into its new home. The plant will sit firmly on the metal base, roots gently surrounded by the bark, giving it stability and a healthy environment to grow strong. Now we will clamp the plant onto the metal base. This step is important because it gives the orchid stability while the roots are still delicate. Make sure it's secure, but don't squeeze too tightly. We want the plant supported, not stressed. Once the orchid is held in place, we can fill the rest of the pot with pine bark. Add it slowly and gently, letting the bark settle naturally around the roots. Shake the pot lightly if needed, so the bark fills in all the gaps and provides good aeration. By the end of this step, the orchid should sit upright and stable, roots comfortably surrounded by bark, ready to continue growing in its new, eco-friendly home. Now, from here on, routine care becomes very important. This is the stage where consistency truly makes the difference between a healthy, thriving orchid and one that struggles. Continue with the same gentle watering schedule we've been using, making sure the bark and moss are just damp, never soggy. Wipe the leaves regularly with a homemade solution to keep them clean, hydrated, and nourished. and check the roots often to ensure they're growing strong and healthy. Orchids respond best to steady, predictable care, so avoid sudden changes in water, light, or humidity. Think of it as a daily rhythm, small, repeated actions that build energy, strength, and resilience in the plant. Over time, you'll start to notice subtle signs of recovery: firmer leaves, plumper roots, and eventually, the exciting beginnings of flower spikes. Each of these changes tells you that your orchid is gaining strength and thriving in its new home. Patience and consistency are your best tools now. The orchid will reward you for every careful step you take. And finally, after 5 weeks, the difference is remarkable. The orchid has transformed from a stressed, weakened plant into one that is vibrant and full of life. Look at the leaves. They're no longer limp or wrinkled. Instead, they are firm, glossy, and a rich, healthy green. You can tell the plant is absorbing water and nutrients effectively, and it's thriving in its new environment. If you examine the roots, you'll see a network of plump, fresh growth spreading through the bark and moss. Some roots are reaching outward, exploring their new space, while others are thickening and strengthening near the crown. Each root is a sign of renewed vitality, and together, they provide the foundation the orchid needs to grow tall and healthy. Even the trimmed sections of the stem and crown, which seemed fragile just a few weeks ago, are now showing subtle signs of recovery. Tiny new leaves may begin to emerge, delicate and soft at first, but gradually gaining firmness as they mature. These little shoots are proof that the orchid is putting its energy into healthy growth rather than just survival. And there you have it. From a stressed, struggling plant to a healthy, thriving orchid, we've walked through every step of its recovery journey. Remember, orchids may seem delicate, but with patience, consistency, and a little care, they can bounce back beautifully. The key is routine, watering, cleaning, and gentle feeding, and giving the plant the time it needs to rebuild its strength. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future orchid care tips. Share it with your friends or anyone who loves plants. And let's keep helping more orchids thrive around the world. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep growing, keep blooming, and enjoy every moment with your plants.